Hello everyone! Welcome to this incredibly exciting announcement. It's time to talk about the reality of what's going on and what we're really facing. Soaring inequality, rising costs of living, erosion of our communities, plummeting quality of life. Now we've got one-bedroom units at over $2,000 a month.
Say boo!
We can't pay our bills, we're working, struggling non-stop, strained, stressed, worried, and scared. We live under threat of being evicted, bankruptcy, forced away from our families, friends, neighborhoods, our work, livelihoods, communities, and this beautiful city we want to call home, where over 3,000 of us are now homeless. There's seething anger at blatant corporate developer greed and politicians at City Hall who sell us out continually. They throw the people under the bus. They've made Vancouver a hotel, a playground for the mega rich, for unchecked private profit and personal gain. Well, we say no more. This is out of control, and we've got an unprecedented opportunity to stop it and win a better world for all.
Jean in the house! Hey everybody, thanks so much for coming. A few weeks ago I saw a woman sleeping in a suitcase on the sidewalk. And then earlier in the year we all read about the Lululemon guy who has a house with 9 bathrooms worth $75 million. We've been through 40 years of governments cutting taxes for the rich and services for everyone else, like social housing and welfare, and then starting a war on drugs to throw poor and racialized people in jail. As a result, the planet is burning up, and the richest 5 men own more than the poorest 3.5 billion. And Vancouver is part of this as one of the most unequal cities in Canada. 40 years of this is too much, and it's got to stop, and we've got to start doing things differently. Lots of young folks have been on my case to run for city council in the upcoming by-election. Yeah, some of them are here. They don't believe that the status quo is working, and they don't see any other parties having plans that really meet the needs of the 99%. The young folks want someone who will reinforce their efforts to make housing a basic human right in Vancouver and keep people who aren't rich from being pushed out. Someone who isn't going to take money from developers and reward them with higher buildings that mean a lot of profit for them and gentrification and higher rents for the rest of us. They want someone on council who they can count on to stick up for renters, low-income people, and the environment. They want someone who will work to create a sanctuary for Indigenous people, racialized communities, and those without immigration status by addressing discriminatory policies and structures that begin at the city level. They want someone who will make sure that the people and culture of Chinatown aren't crushed by developers. They want someone who will really end homelessness and make sure that undocumented people aren't reported to border security. We need new policies that match the seriousness of the crises we face. The city level of government is the closest to the people. Nearly everyone can make a trip to City Hall or phone their councillor. It's harder to get to Victoria and still harder to get to Ottawa. So this is a good place for change to start. I want to be the kind of councillor who will really open up City Hall to people who are working for social and environmental justice. If the city doesn't currently have the formal powers to do what's needed, then we need to be part of building a movement for new municipal powers. No more butt passing. It's time to ally with and help Vancouver residents challenge artificial limits to their own democratic power in creative ways. And today I'm giving you an introduction to some of our policies and the spirit of our campaign. We'll roll out more policies over the rest of the campaign. So number 1, rent freeze. It's not acceptable to me or most of the young folks who've been pushing me to run that the average rent in Vancouver, get this, is now more than the total monthly income from a full-time minimum wage job. It's not acceptable that if rents keep going up at the current rate, in 4 years, a one-bedroom apartment will be $4,000 a month, which is roughly what the average wage is in Vancouver. We need change that will actually address this crisis. Changes that actually happen, not intents, not targets, not misleading non-solutions like giving density to developers. And so that's why we're calling for a 4-year rent freeze. We are announcing my run for City Council in front of the Belvedere because the tenants here are fighting back against being evicted so the landlord can renovate and charge higher rents. Our policies would stop this. Okay, policy number 2. End homelessness and tax the rich. We want to actually end homelessness by building enough modular housing units to house all homeless people in Vancouver. 2,138 counted last March, until we can get proper social housing built. This would cost about $160 million. Housing a homeless person actually saves about $20,000 a year, so this investment would pay for itself in less than 4 years. The province will save on its health services, the city will save on policing and can cut the police budget. If senior governments won't give us the money, we'll demand the powers to tax the rich in Vancouver. It's obscene that some people live in $75 million homes while others live on the street. The city needs to be able to tax mansions more than ordinary houses and large corporate businesses more than neighborhood stores. We'll fight for those powers. We'll get that money by hook or crook. We're also looking at policies that would undo other injustices. We need to expand our sanctuary city policies so police don't report people to Immigration and Border Services. When citizens work their heart out, uniting young and old to save their neighborhood from developer condos, like the folks in Chinatown did with the 105 Kiefer fight, council needs to genuinely respond to what they need, not simply give the developers another okay. We need real democracy. Homeowners are automatically put on the voters list, but tenants aren't. And permanent residents can't vote, even though that was proposed by the Independent Election Task Force. We need actions to ensure that renters, Indigenous people, and other racialized groups, as well as permanent residents, can vote in the 2018 election. For over a decade, Indigenous people have been calling for an Indigenous Healing and Wellness Center. That's way too long to wait.
Shame.
If we cut just 2% of the police budget, that would be over $5 million we could invest in community services that promote justice. And we need to start working now for free transit for all to keep people out of their polluting cars and promote mobility for people who can't afford buses. We could start with the $5 a month pass that Calgary has for low-income people. The point is that we need big changes, not the same old, same old. I want to stir things up in that chamber and help build movements for justice. 3 more things. As of today, I'm resigning as a Carnegie Community Action Project volunteer, so I won't be speaking on behalf of them during the campaign. Number 2, this campaign won't take money from developers and corporations. And number 3, if elected, I would keep only $44,000 of the $85,000 salary, since $44,000 is the average Vancouver wage. I think it's easier to identify with issues of people who have average incomes if you're one of them. The rest I would donate to a group or groups working for justice. And I'd like to close by really thanking all the folks that have been working so hard for this. I hope you can keep it up, and I hope I can do you and the campaign justice. Thank you.